Welcome to the Birthplace of Country Music Museum's virtual story time. I'm Amy, and today we're going to read The Relatives Came, written by Cynthia Rylant and illustrated by Stephen Gamble. Read with permission from Simon & Schuster. The Relatives Came. It was the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. And there they are. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. And there they go. You can see the moon up here. That's how early it was. Did you ever leave early in the morning for a trip like that? They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they also thought about us too, waiting for them. And there they go. You see their little car going between the mountains? So they drank up all their pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging! Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. And there's a lot of people out there. Then it was into the house, and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us, and the rest slept on the floor. some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden, and they fixed any broken things that they could. What do you see going on in this picture? They ate up all our strawberries and melons. They promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. And there they are, still fixing things. And look over here. They're having some music. I see all kinds of instruments there. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. And there they go, back to Virginia. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they finally arrived home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about next summer. There are their purple grapes. I want to show you one more thing about this book. It has a gold circle on the front that says Caldecott Honor Book. And books that get the Caldecott Honor or the Caldecott Award, they win this because of their pictures. So didn't this book have wonderful pictures? And that's for the illustrator, Stephen Gamble. So maybe when you're at the bookstore or the library, you can look for books that have that gold circle on the front, and then you'll know they have beautiful pictures. We hope you enjoyed reading with us today and that it made you want to read more and more books. Special thanks once again to Simon & Schuster for permission to share The Relatives Came with you. Finally, a big thank you for being with us today during the Birthplace of Country Music Museum's virtual story time, and for your support of the Birthplace of Country Music Museum. We'll be back on April 2nd with a new book to read together. Stay tuned as we have a fun word or reading activity for you.